In the bustling heart of Brooklyn, New York, where the city's relentless energy clashed with the quiet struggles of everyday lives, Emily Sanchez found herself trapped in a nightmare that had become all too familiar. The late afternoon sun filtered through the grimy windows of her modest apartment, casting long shadows that seemed to mirror the darkness in her world. Emily stood defiant, yet weary in the cramped living room, a woman of striking beauty, with deep ebony skin that glowed like polished onyx under the light. Her dark curls framed a face etched with resilience, her complete lips pressed into a thin line of determination. At 32, she carried the weight of a life marked by betrayal, but her brown eyes, warm and fierce, held the unyielding spirit of someone who had learned to fight for every breath. Mark Thompson, her soon-to-be ex-husband, loomed over her like a storm cloud, his face twisted in rage. He was a man of average build with pale skin and a perpetual scowl hiding his insecurities behind a false superiority. "You think you can walk away, Emily, after all these years of leeching off me?" he snarled, his voice echoing off the peeling wallpaper. His mother, a sharp-tongued woman with graying hair and a heart as cold as the winter winds off the East River, grabbed Emily's arm roughly. "Let go of me," Emily demanded, her voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. She yanked free, her mind racing to protect the one light in her life, her 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Lily, a cherubic girl with a mop of curly hair that blended her mother's rich heritage and an unknown father's mystery, huddled in the corner, her wide eyes filled with terror. "Grandma, stop! Let Mommy go!" she cried, her small voice piercing the chaos. But Mark's mother only laughed bitterly. "This little brat. She's not even his. You tricked my son into raising some other man's child. You people always do scheming lying." The slur hung in the air unspoken, but implied a venomous nod to the racial prejudices that had poisoned their marriage from the start. Emily's heart ached. She had endured the whispers, the sidelong glances, the assumptions that a black woman like her was somehow less deserving of respect or love. But today, it boiled over. The argument escalated into violence. Mark raised his hand, his face flushed with alcohol-fueled fury. "You're nothing without me. No house, no money. Just a single mom scraping by in this godforsaken city." Emily dodged the blow, but it grazed her shoulder, sending a sharp pain. "Neighbors, help! They're hurting us!" she shouted, her voice carrying through the thin walls of the brownstone building. Outside, the sounds of New York honking taxis, distant sirens, seemed indifferent to her plea. Unbeknownst to her fate, was already intervening. Daniel Wright, the enigmatic CEO of Wright Corp., a towering tech empire headquartered in Manhattan's financial district, was in Brooklyn that day. At 30, Daniel was the epitome of polished success, tall and broad-shouldered, with chiseled features, piercing blue eyes, and neatly trimmed blonde hair that spoke of boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. His fair skin and privileged upbringing in the affluent suburbs of Connecticut had shielded him from the city's harsher realities, but beneath his cold, calculating exterior lay a man haunted by unspoken longings. He despised the superficial elegance of the socialites who flocked to him, women who hid their ambitions behind veneers of grace, often laced with subtle bigotry. Daniel had come to Brooklyn for a site visit, scouting potential real estate for a community tech hub, a project born from his quiet desire to bridge the divides he saw in the city. He heard the commotion as he stepped out of his sleek black Tesla, parked amid the vibrant street art and diverse crowds. Drawn by an inexplicable pull, he approached the building. Through the open window, he caught sight of Emily, her strength amid vulnerability, stirring something profound within him. It was as if time slowed. Her face, fierce and beautiful, reminded him of a woman he had admired from afar years ago at New York University. Without hesitation, he burst through the door, commanding the room like a sudden storm. "Get your hands off her," Daniel commanded, his voice low and authoritative, cutting through the tension like a knife. Mark whirled around, sneering. "Who the hell are you? This is a family business." Daniel's eyes narrowed, assessing the scene, the bruised woman, the frightened child. "Family? This looks like assault. And in New York, that's a crime." He stepped forward, his tailored suit, a stark contrast to the disheveled room, and effortlessly disarmed Mark with a precise shove that sent him stumbling. Lily ran to Emily, clinging to her legs, while Daniel turned to the older woman. "You should be ashamed. Bullying a mother and child." Emily stared at him, her breath catching. Who was this stranger? This white knight in a city where help rarely came without strings. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered, her voice laced with suspicion from years of disappointment. Daniel met her gaze, his blue eyes softening for the first time in years, because no one deserves this. And because I've seen enough injustice in this world. In truth, it was more. Her resilience ignited a spark in him, a desire to protect that he hadn't felt since college. Mark recovered, lunging at Daniel. "You think you're some hero. She's trash divorced with a kid from God knows who." The fight was brief. Daniel, trained in self-defense from his executive security protocols, subdued him without breaking a sweat. "Call the police," Daniel instructed Emily calmly. As sirens wailed in the distance, Mark's mother spat venom. "You'll regret this. She's nothing but trouble, a black woman trying to trap a man like you." The racial barb hung heavy, but Daniel ignored it, focusing on Emily. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, kneeling to Lily's level. "Hey, little one, it's over now." Emily nodded, tears welling but unshed. "Thank you. But I don't even know you." Daniel extended a hand. "Daniel Wright." "And you?" Emily Sanchez replied, her touch sending an unexpected warmth through him. In that moment, amid the chaos, he felt a connection, a whisper of destiny. As the police arrived, taking statements and arresting Mark for assault, Daniel offered Emily a ride to a safe place. "I can't just leave," she protested. "You have to," he insisted softly to her. Glancing at Lily, Emily relented. They drove through the Brooklyn Bridge toward Manhattan, the city lights twinkling like stars against the Hudson River. Daniel's car smelled of leather and success, a world away from Emily's struggles. "Why help a stranger?" she asked again, her voice tentative. Daniel glanced at her, his expression unreadable, yet sincere. "Maybe because I see something in you, strength, grace, that's real, not fabricated. I've spent years surrounded by people who pretend, but you're authentic." His words, delivered with a quiet intensity, stirred her heart. Little did she know this encounter began a love that would challenge societal norms. At a cozy cafe in Greenwich Village, they talked. Emily shared fragments of her story, her Puerto Rican black heritage, her dreams shattered by a hasty marriage to Mark after a family tragedy. He promised stability, but it was all lies. "Now, with the divorce pending in family court, I'm fighting for custody." Daniel listened, his admiration growing. He said, "You're not alone anymore." His tone laced with conviction. Impulsively, he proposed a contract. "Marry me for a year. I'll provide security and a home in Manhattan. In return, you'll help me fend off the vultures in my world." Emily laughed bitterly. "A fake marriage? To a CEO? That sounds like a fairy tale gone wrong." But desperation won. Lily agreed. They signed papers at a notary's that night, the city's pulse echoing their hasty union. As they parted, Daniel handed her a key to his penthouse. "Tomorrow, we start anew." Emily watched him drive away, her mind swirling. In his eyes, she had seen not pity, but genuine desire, a spark that terrified and thrilled her. The next day, Emily and Lily arrived at the luxurious high-rise overlooking Central Park. The doorman greeted them with surprise, but Daniel's instructions smoothed the way. Inside, the space was a blend of modern elegance, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist art, and a warmth that belied Daniel's reputed coldness. He welcomed them with coffee and toys for Lily. "This is temporary," Emily reminded him. Daniel smiled faintly. Or perhaps it's fate. As Lily explored, Emily felt a tentative hope. But shadows lingered Mark's threats, societal judgments. Little did she know Daniel was already unraveling her past, hiring a private investigator to expose Mark's deceptions. Weeks blended into a routine. Daniel, often buried in board meetings at Wright Corp, found solace in evenings with them. One night, as rain pelted the windows, he shared his own scars. A privileged life marred by loss, parents gone in a yacht accident, leaving him to build an empire alone. "I hate the fakeness of it all," he confessed. Emily touched his hand. "Then why me? Because you're real," he whispered, his voice husky with emotion. Their eyes locked, a silent promise forming. Yet conflict brewed. Mark, out on bail, harassed Emily with calls demanding assets from their Brooklyn home. "You'll never win in court a single black mom against me," he taunted. Emily confided in Daniel, who arranged legal aid through his firm's pro bono team. "We'll fight this," he assured her, his protectiveness fierce. In court, evidence mounted, Mark's financial fraud, his abuse documented. But the judge, an older white man, eyed Emily skeptically. "Ms. Sanchez, your background." He began implying bias. Daniel intervened as a witness, his status commanding respect. "Emily is a victim of systemic injustice. I've seen her strength firsthand." His testimony swayed the room, granting Emily temporary custody. As they left the courthouse, Emily hugged him impulsively. "You didn't have to. I wanted to," he replied, his arms lingering. In that embrace, amid New York's chaos, love began to bloom, subtle, undeniable. But whispers spread. Paparazzi snapped photos of the CEO with a mysterious woman of color, fueling tabloid rumors. Wright's scandalous affair. Headlines screamed. Daniel shielded her, but Emily felt exposed. She said, "This world isn't for me," one evening, gazing at the skyline. Daniel pulled her close. "It can be ours." His kiss, tentative at first, ignited a passion that transcended barriers. As the part drew to a close, Emily discovered Daniel's investigator's report. Mark had faked his kidney donation, buying it illegally after causing her parents' car crash in Queens. Rage and relief washed over her. "Why go this far?" she asked Daniel. "Because you deserve truth," he said softly. Their bond deepened, setting the stage for shared life ahead. With the echoes of courtroom battles fading like distant thunder over the Hudson, Emily Sanchez and her daughter Lily stepped fully into Daniel Wright's Manhattan penthouse's opulent, yet unexpectedly welcoming world. The transition was not without its whispers of doubt. Emily's heart, scarred by years of betrayal and societal scorn, hesitated at the threshold of this new chapter. Yet as the elevator ascended to the top floor, carrying them above the city's ceaseless hum, she felt a subtle shift, a tentative bloom of possibility in the air, scented with the faint aroma of fresh lilies that Daniel had thoughtfully placed in vases throughout the space. The penthouse itself was a masterpiece of understated luxury, far removed from the cramped confines of Brooklyn. Expansive windows framed panoramic views of Central Park's verdant expanse, where joggers and families mirrored the life Emily yearned for. Sleek marble countertops gleamed in the kitchen, and soft, neutral tones invited calm. Lily's eyes widened in wonder as she dashed toward a room Daniel had prepared just for her. A haven of pastel blues and whites, complete with a canopy bed and shelves lined with books on diverse heroes from Harriet Tubman to modern scientists. "Mommy, is this really ours?" Lily asked, her voice a melody of innocence that tugged at Emily's soul. Daniel stood by his usual stoic demeanor, softened by a genuine smile that reached his blue eyes. He replied, "For as long as you need," his voice, a low timbre that resonated with quiet assurance. He had anticipated their needs with remarkable intuition. Organic snacks in the fridge, a wardrobe of professional attire for Emily, in sizes she hadn't mentioned, and even a small desk setup for her translation work. These subtle, thoughtful details began to chip away at Emily's walls. "She said you didn't have to do all this," her fingers tracing the edge of a silk blouse. Daniel shrugged lightly, his broad shoulders shifting under his crisp shirt. "I wanted your transition to feel like home, not an imposition." Their first days together unfolded like a delicate dance, each step revealing layers of the other. Mornings began with shared breakfasts on the terrace, where the sun rose over the skyscrapers, painting the sky in hues of gold and rose. Accustomed to solitary routines fueled by black coffee and market reports, Daniel found himself enchanted by Lily's chatter. "Mr. Daniel, do you like pancakes? Mommy makes the best ones with chocolate chips," the girl exclaimed one day, her curls bouncing as she helped stir the batter. Emily watched, her heart swelling, as Daniel knelt to her level, his large hands gently guiding hers. "I do now," he said, his laugh warm and unexpected. In these moments, Emily saw beyond the CEO facade, a man capable of tenderness, unmarred by the prejudices that had plagued her past. Yet challenges lurked beneath the surface. Emily's job search in the competitive New York market was a gauntlet of subtle discrimination. At interviews in Midtown offices, recruiters eyed her resume impeccable with a master's in linguistics from NYU, but their questions veered into personal territory. As a single mother, how do you balance family and high-pressure deadlines? One asked, his tone implying doubt about her reliability as a black woman. Emily held her composure, her responses polished and professional, but the rejections piled up like autumn leaves in Central Park. "It's not just about skills," she confided to Daniel one evening, as they sat on the plush sofa, Lily asleep nearby. "It's the unspoken biases, the assumption that I won't fit in." Daniel's jaw tightened, his protective instincts flaring. "Let me help," he offered, but Emily shook her head. "I need to do this independently to prove I'm more than my circumstances." Her words, spoken with quiet fire, stirred admiration in him. Still, he couldn't stand idle. Anonymously, he tipped off a contact at a multinational firm seeking translators for UN contracts through his network. When Emily landed an interview, she aced it, and her fluency in Spanish and English shone. But on her first day, a colleague, a white woman with a condescending smile, made a snide remark. "Impressive resume, but motherhood changes priorities." Emily bit back a retort, focusing on her work, translating documents on global human rights. Daniel's support manifested in quieter ways. He arranged flexible hours through a discreet call, ensuring Emily could attend Lily's school events in Brooklyn. One afternoon, when a sudden fever struck Lily, Emily rushed from work, her mind torn between duty and love. Daniel appeared at the pediatrician's office in Mount Sinai Hospital, his presence a steady anchor. "I cleared my schedule," he explained, holding Lily's hand as the doctor examined her. Emily's gratitude deepened into something more, a flutter of affection that warmed her cheeks. "You're not like the men I've known," she admitted later as they walked through Central Park, leaves crunching underfoot. Daniel paused, turning to face her. "And you're not like anyone I've met, resilient, kind, with a beauty that comes from within." Laced with sincerity, his words hung in the crisp air, drawing them closer. As bonds strengthened, so did intimacy. Evenings often ended with conversations by the fireplace, where Daniel shared glimpses of his world, the cutthroat boardrooms, the loneliness of success. "I've built an empire, but it's empty without meaning." He confessed one night, the firelight dancing on his features. Emily opened up too. Her dreams deferred after her parents' tragic accident, the isolation of raising Lily amid judgments. Being a black single mom in this city. "It's like swimming upstream," she said softly. Daniel reached for her hand, his touch electric. "Not anymore. We're in this together." Their fingers intertwined a silent vow amid the city's symphony. But support wasn't without trials. Mark, seething from his legal defeats, escalated harassment, anonymous calls, threats via email. "You'll never escape me," one read. Emily confided in Daniel, who hired a cybersecurity expert from Right Corp to trace them. "We'll end this," he promised, his voice steel-edged. They boldly filed a restraining order in New York family court, Daniel testifying to the threat's impact. The judge, moved by Emily's poise, granted it. As they exited, Daniel pulled her into a hug. "You're safe now." Emily melted into him, her barriers crumbling. Cultural bridges formed too. Eager to understand her heritage, Daniel joined Emily in cooking traditional Puerto Rican dishes, arroz con gandules, the aromas filling the penthouse. "This is incredible," he said, savoring a bite. Lily giggled. "Mommy's magic." These moments wove a tapestry of unity, convincing Emily that love could transcend divides. By the end of this phase, Emily's confidence soared. She excelled at work, earning praise for a high-profile translation project. Daniel, in turn, found purpose beyond profits, mentoring Lily in coding basics, her laughter filling his once silent home. Emily turned to him one starry night on the terrace as the Empire State Building glowed. "Thank you for believing in me." Daniel's gaze held hers. "It's easy when you're extraordinary." Their first kiss followed gentle, profound, sealing a foundation for deeper trials. As the golden hues of autumn began to paint the streets of Manhattan, casting a warm glow over the towering skyscrapers that pierced the sky like ambitious dreams, Emily Sanchez navigated the intricate labyrinth of her new professional life with a grace that belied the storms brewing beneath. The offices of Right Corp, nestled in the heart of the financial district, were a realm of glass and steel, where ideas flowed as freely as the Hudson River, and ambitions clashed like waves against the shore. With her poised demeanor and sharp intellect, Emily quickly became an asset in the translation department, her bilingual prowess bridging cultural divides in international contracts that spanned continents. Yet shadows of envy and prejudice lurked in this polished world of power suits and high-stakes negotiations, ready to test the fragile tapestry of her emerging happiness. It started subtly, like the first whisper of wind before a tempest. Olivia Hayes, a sleek and ambitious executive with porcelain skin and a cascade of platinum hair, had long harbored designs on Daniel Wright. As his former fiancée arranged more by family expectations than genuine affection, Olivia viewed Emily's presence as an affront. A black woman, from modest roots, daring to infiltrate the elite circles she claimed as her own. Olivia's eyes, sharp as polished diamonds, narrowed whenever Emily passed in the corridors. Her smiles laced with venom, disguised as civility. Olivia remarked on impressive work on the UN proposal one day in the break room, her voice dripping with false sweetness as she stirred her latte. But balancing all this with family obligations, it must be exhausting. The implication hung heavy, a veiled jab at Emily's role as a single mother tinged with the unspoken undercurrent of racial bias that Emily had learned to detect like a sixth sense. Emily met her gaze steadily, her lips curving into a composed smile that masked the sting. Exhausting perhaps, but rewarding. Priorities shape us, don't they? She turned away, her heels clicking softly on the marble floor, but the encounter lingered a subtle erosion of her confidence. Emily reflected on her journey in the quiet moments at her desk, overlooking the bustling streets below, where yellow cabs darted like fireflies. The contract with Daniel had evolved into something profound, a partnership where his quiet strength bolstered her own. Yet with its unspoken hierarchies, the workplace reminded her that love alone couldn't shield her from the world's judgments. The tension escalated during a high-profile client meeting in the boardroom, where sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the polished mahogany table like a stage set for drama. Emily presented her translations flawlessly, her voice melodic with confidence and precision, earning nods from the international delegates. But Olivia, seated across from her, interjected with calculated subtlety. While Ms. Sanchez's work is adequate, we should consider the cultural nuances more deeply. After all, diversity in perspective is key. The room fell silent. The subtext, explicit Emily's heritage, rather than an asset, was being weaponized as a limitation. Whispers rippled among the attendees, and Emily felt the familiar heat of indignation rise her ebony skin, flushing with restrained emotion. That evening, as the city transitioned from day to dusk, the skyline twinkling like a constellation of human aspirations, Emily confided in Daniel over a candlelit dinner at a secluded Italian bistro in Soho. The aroma of fresh basil and garlic wafted through the air, mingling with a nearby piano's soft strains of jazz. "It's not just words, Daniel, how they look at me, as if I'm an intruder in their world." Her eyes, deep pools of vulnerability, met his across the table. Daniel reached for her hand, his fingers intertwining with hers in a gesture of unspoken devotion. "You're not an intruder. You're a force, and if they can't see that, they're blind." His voice, smooth as aged whiskey, carried a conviction that wrapped around her like a warm embrace, convincing her that in his eyes she was irreplaceable. But words alone couldn't quell the storm. The next day, rumors spread like wildfire through the office corridors. Whispers of Emily's inappropriate rise, fueled by Olivia's insidious campaign. An anonymous email circulated hinting at favoritism. How does a single mom from Brooklyn land such a role? Connections, perhaps. Emily confronted the digital assault with poise, but the weight pressed on her spirit. It was during a tense elevator ride that Olivia was struck directly. "You know Daniel has a type, elegant, refined, not whatever this is." Her words, laced with disdain, cut deep, evoking the racial undertones that Emily had fought against all her life. Daniel, upon hearing of the harassment through a trusted aide, felt a surge of protective fury that ignited his resolve. He arranged a discreet meeting in his corner office, where the view of the Statue of Liberty in the distance symbolized the freedom he sought for Emily. "This ends now," he declared, his blue eyes stormy with determination. In a bold move that would redefine their relationship, Daniel called an emergency staff assembly in the grand atrium where employees gathered under the soaring glass ceiling. Standing at the podium, his presence commanding and magnetic, he addressed the crowd. "Right Corp thrives on innovation and integrity. But today, I address a poison among us, prejudice and sabotage." His voice resonated, each word a testament to his unwavering support. Turning to Emily, who stood nearby, her heart pounding like the city's rhythm, Daniel extended his hand. "Emily Sanchez is not just a colleague. She is my partner in life and in spirit. Any attack on her is an attack on me and the values we uphold." The room gasped, the revelation rippling like a pebble in a pond. Olivia's face paled, her schemes unraveling in the light of truth. Daniel continued, his tone laced with a passion that convinced even the skeptics. "Her strength, her insight, these are what elevate us." and I will not tolerate division." Applause erupted, tentative at first, then thunderous as colleagues saw not scandal but sincerity. In the aftermath, Olivia was discreetly reassigned, her influence curtailed by HR protocols that Daniel enforced with ironclad precision. Emily, overwhelmed by the public declaration, pulled him aside in a quiet hallway. "You didn't have to expose us like that," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Daniel cupped her face gently, his thumb tracing the curve of her cheek. "I did, because hiding our truth diminishes it. You are my light, Emily, vibrant, unyielding, and the world needs to know." Their kiss, stolen in the shadows of the corporate empire, was a seal of commitment, deep and fervent, convincing her soul that love could conquer even the tallest barriers. As days turned to weeks, the office transformed. Emily's projects flourished, and her translations were pivotal in securing a significant deal with European partners. Inspired by Daniel's stand, colleagues offered genuine alliances, bridging the gaps of misunderstanding. One evening, as they strolled through Washington Square Park, the fountain's gentle spray mirroring the refreshment in their bond, Emily leaned into him. "You've given me wings," she murmured. Daniel smiled, his heart swelling with a love that felt eternal. "And you've given me purpose." Their connection, forged in the fires of challenge, now burned brighter, a beacon against the encroaching shadows of external threats. Yet whispers of Mark's lingering malice reached them, subtle legal maneuvers, challenging the restraining order. Daniel, ever vigilant, consulted top attorneys, ensuring Emily's security. As moonlight filtered through their penthouse windows in quiet moments, he held her close, his whispers a lullaby of assurance. "No one will harm you again." Emily nestled in his arms, believed him, her trust, a delicate flower blooming in the garden of their shared destiny. The workplace trials had not broken them. They had woven their souls tighter, preparing them for the familial storms ahead. In the crisp embrace of New York's early winter, where frost-kissed leaves clung to the branches of Brooklyn's tree-lined streets, like reluctant farewells, Emily Sanchez faced a new arena of adversity that struck at the very core of her being, the sanctuary of her daughter's education. The public elementary school in Brooklyn Heights, with its historic brick facade and playground echoing children's laughter, should have been a haven of learning and growth for young Lily. Instead, it became a battleground where societal prejudices reared their ugly heads, testing the resilience of Emily's spirit and the depth of Daniel Wright's devotion. As snowflakes began to dance in the air, heralding the season's quiet transformation, so too did the challenges unfold, drawing the couple into a vortex of protection and unity that would forever alter their path. The trouble brewed innocently enough, like a gentle flurry before a blizzard. With her infectious curiosity and bright smile that lit up even the gloomiest days, Lily had always been a model student. But whispers among parents' affluent families from the brownstone elite began circulating, fueled by outdated biases. That girl's mother, single from a different background, one parent murmured at a PTA meeting, her words a veiled critique of Emily's heritage. Emily, attending with poise in a tailored coat that accentuated her elegant figure, felt the sting but held her head high. Lily's artwork was selected for the school exhibit, and she shared proudly that her voice was a harmonious blend of warmth and authority. Yet the response was tepid, the air thick with unspoken judgments. The incident that ignited the storm occurred on a chilly afternoon as children bundled in scarves played under the watchful eyes of teachers. Lily, accused of borrowing a classmate's toy without permission, a misunderstanding rooted in innocent sharing, was cornered by the boy's mother, a woman of privilege with a sharp tongue and narrower mind. "Your kind always thinks they can take what's not theirs." She snapped, her words laced with racial undertones that pierced Emily like icy shards. Lily's eyes welled with tears, her small frame trembling. Emily arrived just in time, her maternal instinct flaring like a protective flame. "This is a child you're speaking to," she said firmly, her tone measured yet unyielding. "Let's resolve this civilly." Word spread through the parent chat groups, escalating into a digital frenzy. Accusations flew: unfit parenting, disruptive influence. Reviewing the messages on her phone while commuting back to Manhattan, Emily felt a wave of isolation crash over her. That evening, in the warmth of their penthouse, where the fireplace crackled like a comforting heartbeat, she shared her burdens with Daniel. "It's not just about Lily. It's about me. About us." They see a black single mom and assume the worst. Daniel, his features softened by the fire's glow, pulled her into his arms. They see strength they can't comprehend. "We'll face this together as a family." His words, whispered with a tenderness that enveloped her like a silken veil, reignited her resolve. Daniel's involvement deepened their bond, transforming the challenge into a symphony of solidarity. He attended the next school conference, his commanding presence turning heads in the modest auditorium. "Ms. Sanchez is an exemplary parent," he stated to the principal, his voice resonant with authority. But when evidence surfaced, a biased teacher overlooking similar incidents involving white children, Daniel's protective instincts surged. He enlisted a civil rights attorney from the ACLU, filing a formal complaint highlighting systemic inequities. "This isn't just about one child, it's about justice." He argued, his conviction a beacon illuminating the path forward. The school's response was swift, but not without resistance. A heated meeting ensued, parents divided like factions in a Shakespearean drama. The accusing mother, emboldened, confronted Emily publicly. "Your daughter pushed mine." Typical aggression. Lily, innocent and confused, clung to Emily's side. Daniel stepped forward, his gaze steady as the North Star. Lily acted in self-defense as any child would. "And your words, they reveal more about you than she does." His eloquence, delivered with a quiet intensity, swayed the room, convincing even doubters of the truth's purity. In the resolution's wake, the teacher was reprimanded, and diversity training was mandated, fostering a ripple of change. Emily and Daniel privately celebrated a picnic in Prospect Park, where snow dusted the ground like powdered sugar. Lily frolicked ahead, her laughter a melody of joy. "You two are my heroes," she declared, hugging them both. Emily met Daniel's eyes, her heart overflowing. "You've shown me what true partnership means." He brushed a snowflake from her cheek, his touch lingering. "And you've taught me the beauty of unity, unbreakable, like the roots of these ancient trees." Their family deepened through shared rituals, weekend outings to the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, where blooms defied the cold, mirroring their love's endurance. Once distant in his corporate realm, Daniel found solace in bedtime stories for Lily, his voice weaving tales of brave heroines that echoed Emily's story. One night, as stars twinkled over the city, Emily confessed, "I feared this world would tear us apart." Daniel kissed her forehead. "Instead, it's forging us stronger." Their intimacy, a dance of souls, blossomed in stolen moments, passionate embraces that spoke of eternal promises. Yet, unity faced tests. Mark, sensing vulnerability, attempted to exploit the school drama in custody hearings, petitioning for visitation rights with fabricated claims. Emily's anxiety peaked, but Daniel's strategic mind prevailed. He gathered affidavits from school officials painting Emily as a devoted mother. In court, his testimony shone. Emily embodies grace under fire, a woman whose love knows no bounds. The judge moved and denied Mark's plea, affirming Emily's custody. As winter's grip loosened, their bond emerged resilient, a testament to love's triumph over adversity. Emily, empowered, volunteered for school diversity initiatives, and her voice catalyzed change. Daniel transformed her world into his hosting multicultural events at RightCorp. In quiet evenings, as the city hummed below, they dreamed of futures intertwined whispers of forever that convinced the heart of possibilities untold. Beneath the veiled canopy of New York's twilight skies, where the first stars emerged like hidden confessions in the velvet expanse, Emily Sanchez delved into the shadowed corridors of her history, unaware that the threads of destiny were weaving a tapestry fraught with revelations and subtle deceptions. The city, with its ceaseless rhythm of life, pulsing through avenues lined with amber streetlights, mirrored the quiet turmoil within her soul, a blend of newfound serenity and lingering echoes of pain. In the sanctuary of their Manhattan penthouse, where the soft hum of the elevator ascending felt like a heartbeat, drawing closer to truth, Emily found herself grappling with fragments of a past that refused to remain buried each piece, a whisper urging her toward enlightenment. It began with a subtle unease like the faint tremor of an approaching subway train beneath the bustling streets. Her days now a harmonious blend of professional triumphs and intimate evenings, Emily noticed Daniel's occasional absences, late nights at the office, shrouded in vague explanations. His blue eyes, once open windows to his thoughts, now held a guarded depth, as if concealing storms behind their calm surface. Business demands, he would say with a reassuring smile, his fingers brushing hers in a touch that lingered like a promise unspoken. Yet Emily's intuition, honed by years of navigating life's uncertainties, sensed more. In the quiet hours, as moonlight filtered through silk curtains, casting ethereal patterns on the walls, she pondered the mysteries that bound them. Questions about Lily's origins, the accident that claimed her parents, and the enigmatic pull that had drawn Daniel into her world. Daniel, driven by a love that burned with the intensity of a city's neon glow, embarked on a clandestine quest for clarity. To unearth Mark's buried truths, he enlisted a discreet private investigator, a seasoned operative familiar with the underbelly of New York's legal and shadowy realms. The reports arrived piecemeal, delivered in encrypted files that Daniel pored over in his study, the glow of his laptop screen illuminating his furrowed brow. One evening, as rain pattered against the windows, like tentative secrets seeking entry, the first breakthrough emerged. Mark's supposed kidney donation, hailed as a heroic act that had coerced Emily into marriage, was a fabrication. The organ had been procured illicitly through underground channels, violating federal laws and hastening her father's decline. He played the savior, the investigator noted in a hushed call, but it was all a ploy to seize the family assets. The revelation struck Daniel like a bolt from the stormy skies over the East River, fueling a righteous indignation that simmered beneath his composed exterior. He envisioned Emily's suffering, the isolation of caring for a dying parent, the burden of a loveless union, all orchestrated by Mark's greed. Yet deeper layers awaited. The car crash in Queens, initially deemed accidental, bore signs of tampering brake lines, subtly altered, a hit-and-run veiled as misfortune. Daniel's heart ached with its weight, his love for Emily transforming into a fierce vow to dismantle the illusions that had ensnared her. "She deserves the unvarnished truth," he murmured to himself, his voice a soft caress against the silence, convincing even the shadows of his resolve. As the investigation deepened, so did the initial fissures of misunderstanding. Emily stumbled upon a cryptic email on Daniel's tablet, left open in haste, references to past connections and unresolved ties. Her mind, fertile with doubts sown by previous betrayals, conjured visions of hidden motives. Was Daniel's affection a facade, a temporary salve for his solitude? Emily confronted him gently in the opulent quiet of their shared space, where the scent of jasmine from a nearby diffuser evoked memories of warmer, untroubled days. "What aren't you telling me?" she asked, her voice a melody of vulnerability, her dark eyes searching his for anchors in the gathering mist. Daniel hesitated, his desire to shield her clashing with the pull of honesty. "It's for us. For clarity," he replied, drawing her close, his embrace a fortress against the encroaching doubts. But his evasion planted seeds of uncertainty, blooming into quiet nights, where Emily lay awake, the city's distant sirens, echoing her inner turmoil. The misunderstandings compounded when Sophia Reed re-entered the narrative, a figure from Daniel's past, her presence as enigmatic as the fog rolling off the harbor. Sophia, with her fragile elegance and a history intertwined with Daniel's, through a childhood bond forged in Connecticut's affluent enclaves, reached out under the guise of old friendship. A chance encounter at a charity gala in the Upper East Side, where crystal chandeliers cast prismatic light like scattered dreams, brought her face to face with Emily. Haunted by unspoken sorrows, Sophia's eyes met Emily's with curiosity and veiled envy. "Daniel speaks of you with such fervor," she said, her words, a silken thread laced with ambiguity. Emily sensed the undercurrent, a connection that predated her own, perhaps laced with unresolved affections. Later, glimpsing a text from Sophia on Daniel's phone, "We need to talk about the past," ignited a spark of jealousy, subtle yet insistent, like the first crack in a flawless vase. "Who is she?" Emily inquired that night as they dined on a terrace, overlooking the glittering expanse of Times Square, the neon lights mirroring the flicker of her emotions. Daniel's response, measured and sincere, sought to dispel the clouds. "A friend from youth. Nothing more. Her family helped mine through dark times." Yet the partial truth left room for shadows, and Emily's heart, tender from healing wounds, retreated slightly. The misunderstandings deepened during a weekend escape to the Hamptons, where ocean waves crashed like unspoken accusations. Sophia appeared uninvited, her arrival cloaked in coincidence, sharing reminiscences that excluded Emily. "Remember our summers by the Sound?" She laughed lightly, her hand brushing Daniel's arm. Emily watched a pang of exclusion twisting within her, convincing her that perhaps she was an interloper in a story written long before. Amid these ripples, the investigation yielded its most profound secret, Lily's paternity. Through meticulous DNA analysis facilitated by a discreet lab in Midtown, Daniel discovered the improbable truth. A fleeting encounter years ago at a NYU alum event, blurred by spiked drinks and fleeting passions, had bound them eternally. Lily was his daughter, a living testament to a night neither entirely recalled. The revelation washed over Daniel like a tidal wave, his love for Emily expanding to encompass this miracle. "She's ours," he whispered to the empty room, his voice trembling with awe, the conviction in his heart a lighthouse guiding him through the fog. Yet sharing this demanded delicacy. Initial attempts faltered. Misunderstandings arose when Emily overheard a fragmented call. The child. Confirm the link. Her mind raced to worst-case scenarios. Perhaps Daniel sought to claim Lily for leverage, or worse, to unravel their fragile union. In a moment of vulnerability, as snow blanketed Central Park, in pristine white, Emily voiced her fears. "Are you hiding something that could break us?" Daniel, torn between revelation and timing, held her close. "Trust in us," he urged, his lips brushing her forehead in a kiss that spoke of eternal fidelity. The part culminated in a poignant evening stroll along the High Line, where elevated gardens bloomed defiantly against the urban sprawl. Daniel, unable to contain the truth longer, began to unravel the threads. Our paths crossed long before fate reunited us. He confessed, his words a gentle unraveling of secrets. Emily listened, her heart filling with wonder and trepidation, the initial misunderstandings dissolving like mist under the sun's gaze. Their love tested by the ghosts of yesteryears, emerged fortified, a prelude to the gathering storms of deeper conflicts. In the labyrinthine embrace of New York's restless nights, where the city's luminous veins pulsed with unspoken longings and hidden fractures, Emily Sanchez found herself adrift in a sea of accumulating doubts, each wave eroding the shores of her burgeoning trust. The penthouse, once a cocoon of intimacy, overlooking the glittering mosaic of Manhattan, now echoed with the subtle discord of unvoiced fears, as if the very walls absorbed the tension, like sponges in a rising tide. Winter's chill had settled over the metropolis, frosting windows, with intricate patterns that mirrored the complexities weaving through Emily's heart, a delicate interplay of passion and apprehension, where love's warmth clashed with the cold grip of jealousy. The misunderstandings gathered momentum like snow, accumulating on the branches of Central Park's ancient oaks, heavy and inevitable. It started with fleeting glimpses. Sophia's persistent presence in Daniel's orbit, her calls arriving at inopportune moments, her voice a silken intrusion into their private world. Emily, her intuition sharpened by the scars of betrayal, noticed the shifts, Daniel's distracted gaze during dinners at upscale bistros in Chelsea, where candlelight flickered like uncertain promises. His hurried explanations for late returns, scented faintly with another's perfume. Just old ties, he would assure his blue eyes, pleading for faith, but the words rang hollow against the backdrop of Emily's insecurities. Jealousy, that insidious vine, took root in subtle soil. At a lavish fundraiser in the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where masterpieces hung like silent witnesses to human folly, Sophia appeared resplendent in a gown that shimmered like starlight. She engaged Daniel in animated conversation, her laughter a melody that grated on Emily's nerves. Emily observed later that you two seemed connected as they strolled through the museum's echoing halls, the air thick with the scent of aged canvas and unspoken tension. Daniel's hand tightened on hers. History, nothing more. You're my present, my future. His tender and persuasive words momentarily soothed, but the seed had been planted, sprouting tendrils that twisted her thoughts. The accumulation intensified with misinterpreted gestures. A bouquet arrived at the penthouse, elegant lilies, Sophia's favorite, with a card reading, "For old time's sake." Emily's heart constricted, visions of shared secrets flooding her mind. Why does she linger? She demanded, one stormy evening rain lashing the windows like accusations. Daniel, his features etched with frustration, pulled her into an embrace. It's closure. Emily, trust in what we have. But trust, fragile as a spider's web, began to fray under the weight of perceived deceptions. Sophia's machinations, born from a fractured soul seeking solace in illusion, fueled the fire. She orchestrated encounters, a chance meeting at a coffee shop in Greenwich Village, where her hand lingered too long on Daniel's arm. A shared lunch under the guise of business captured in a photo that found its way to Emily's inbox anonymously. The image, grainy yet damning, ignited a blaze of jealousy that consumed Emily's rationality. "Is this what you hide?" she whispered, tears tracing silently down her cheeks, the city's neon glow blurring through the window like distorted dreams. The temporary separation loomed like a gathering cloud, precipitated by a cascade of events. During a weekend retreat to the Catskills, where snow-capped peaks promised respite, Sophia's uninvited arrival shattered the idyll. "I needed to see you," she confessed to Daniel, her eyes pleading. Emily overheard fragments, our bond, unresolved feelings, and the world tilted. Jealousy morphed into anguish, convincing her that she was but a fleeting chapter in Daniel's story. She declared that "I can't compete with your past," her voice breaking like fragile ice. Daniel's protests. "Your everything" fell on ears, deafened by doubt. In a moment of impulsive resolve, Emily packed a bag, seeking solace with her friend Chloe in Los Angeles, the city of angels, offering an ironic haven for her wounded spirit. The flight across the country felt like traversing an emotional chasm, the vast landscapes below, mirroring the distance growing between them. "I need space," she texted Daniel her words, a dagger to his heart. Upon landing in the sun-drenched sprawl of LA, where palm trees swayed like beckoning illusions, Chloe welcomed her with open arms. "He's a fool if he lets you go," Chloe said, her voice a balm over Emily's turmoil. Daniel left, in the echoing void of the penthouse, grappled with despair. The city, once a symphony of possibilities, now mocked him indifferently. He pored over messages, replaying conversations, his love a fierce flame refusing to extinguish. "I can't lose her," he vowed, his reflection in the window, a portrait of determination. The separation, though temporary, stretched like eternity. Each day, a canvas of longing, painted with memories of her laughter, her touch. In LA, Emily immersed herself in reflection and walked along Venice Beach, where waves whispered secrets of renewal. Jealousy waned, replaced by introspection, questions of self-worth, of love's endurance across divides. Chloe's wisdom guided true love weather storms. Letters from Daniel arrived, poetic missives, detailing his soul's ache, words that wove spells of persuasion, reminding her of their shared dreams. The climax of separation came in a heartfelt call, Daniel's voice crossing miles like a bridge of light. "Sophia is a shadow. You're my sun." His sincerity, raw and compelling, pierced the veil of misunderstanding. Emily, tears mingling with the ocean's salt, felt the pull homeward. The temporary rift, though painful, had clarified their bond, forging it anew in the crucible of absence. As she boarded the return flight, the horizon beckoned with promise, the misunderstandings dissolving like fog under dawn's gentle caress. Their reunion loomed as a testament to love's resilience, setting the stage for confrontations yet to come. The dawn broke over Los Angeles with a golden radiance that bathed the city in hues of amber, and rose as if the skies themselves were weaving a tapestry of hope to welcome Emily Sanchez back to the precipice of her heart's truth. The sprawling city, with its palm-lined boulevards and the distant hum of the Pacific, felt like a world apart from New York's frenetic pulse. Yet it could not silence the yearning that tugged at Emily's soul. She had fled to this sunlit haven, seeking clarity in the wake of Sophia Reed's shadowed machinations. But the distance only amplified the ache for Daniel Wright, a man whose love, like a lighthouse's beam, pierced through the fog of her doubts. As the city stirred awake, so did the promise of reunion, a pursuit that would unravel the past and mend the fractures of their shared dreams. Emily stood on the balcony of Chloe Bennett's airy Venice Beach apartment, the ocean's breath carrying whispers of renewal. Her dark curls danced in the breeze, her ebony skin glowing under the morning light, a testament to the resilience that had taken her through years of adversity. Yet her heart was a canvas of conflicting emotions. Jealousy's sting, love's pull, and the weight of a heritage that had often been judged before understood. Her steadfast friend Chloe joined her, a mug of coffee in hand. "You're thinking of him, aren't you?" she asked, her voice a gentle nudge toward honesty. Emily's lips curved into a wistful smile. "He's in every corner of my mind, Chloe. But what if I've misread everything?" The question hung like a delicate thread, fragile yet taut with possibility. Across the country, in the heart of Manhattan, Daniel Wright was a man consumed by purpose. The penthouse, once alive with Emily's laughter and Lily's chatter, now echoed with a hollow silence that mirrored his longing. His blue eyes, usually sharp with corporate precision, were softened by sleepless nights, haunted by the image of Emily's tear-streaked face as she left. He paced the sleek floors, the city's skyline a glittering backdrop to his resolve. He vowed, "I won't lose her." His voice, a low rumble, that resonated with conviction, convincing even the silent walls of his determination. The pursuit began with a call to his private investigator, who had uncovered more layers of Mark's deceptions: financial fraud, a staged heroism, and now, a critical truth. The night that bound Daniel and Emily, a moment of blurred passion at an NYU event, had been orchestrated by unseen hands, a revelation that demanded confrontation. Daniel boarded a private jet, the hum of engines a symphony to his racing heart, and landed in Los Angeles, under a sky painted with the promise of reconciliation. He tracked Emily to a vibrant cafe in Santa Monica, where the scent of roasted coffee mingled with the sea's salt. She sat alone, her profile a silhouette of strength and vulnerability, her fingers tracing the rim of a cup, as if seeking answers in its depths. The sight of her stole his breath, her beauty a beacon that drew him like a moth to flame. "Emily," he called softly, his voice cutting through the cafe's murmur, like a melody crafted for her alone. She turned, her brown eyes widening, a storm of emotions flickering, surprise, caution, and an undeniable spark of longing. "I couldn't let you go without explaining." Daniel began settling across from her, his presence a quiet force that commanded the space. The words poured forth, each a brushstroke, painting the truth of his heart. "Sophia was never my future. She's a fragment of my past, tied by gratitude, not love. Her father saved me from a car accident when I was a boy, a debt I've carried like a chain. But you, Emily, you're my freedom, my reason." His voice, rich with sincerity, wove a spell that softened the edges of her doubt. Emily listened, her heart swaying like the palms outside, yet the wounds of misunderstanding lingered. Why keep secrets? She asked, her tone a delicate balance of hurt and hope. Daniel reached for her hand, his touch a warm anchor in the tide of uncertainty. "I hid the truth to protect you from pain, to unravel Mark's lies without breaking you further. But I was wrong to shield you from my heart." He revealed the night of their unintended union, the spiked drinks at a gala 7 years prior, a moment that birthed Lily and bound their fates. "I loved you even then, from the shadows of NYU's halls, sending you letters signed DW, my initials, not another's." Emily's breath caught memories of anonymous notes, and roses flooding back each one, a silent vow she had misattributed. "It was you," she whispered, tears glistening like dew on her lashes, the realization a key unlocking the chambers of her trust. The confrontation with the past extended beyond their words. Daniel shared the investigator's findings, Mark orchestrating her parents' crash, a calculated act to seize their modest fortune in Queens real estate. The revelation struck Emily like a wave, her grief and rage tempered by Daniel's steady presence. "He stole everything, my family, my peace," she murmured, her voice trembling. Daniel cupped her face, his thumbs brushing away her tears. "He can't steal us. We'll rebuild together." His promise, delivered with a passion that burned brighter than the California sun, convinced her soul of his unwavering devotion. Yet the pursuit faced external storms. Paparazzi, ever present in the orbit of a billionaire like Daniel, had followed him to LA, their cameras flashing like vultures circling. Headlines screamed Wright's cross-country chase for mystery woman. The scrutiny laced with racial undertones weighed on Emily, her heritage once again, a lens through which the world judged her. She feared aloud that they'll tear us apart. As they walked along the Santa Monica Pier, the Ferris wheels spinning like the cycles of their challenges. Daniel stopped, turning her to face him, the ocean's roar a backdrop to his vow. "Let them try. Our love is stronger than their noise." His fierce and tender kiss sealed his words, a declaration that resonated across the coast, convincing her heart to hold fast. The reunion deepened in quiet moments. A dinner at a seaside restaurant, where candlelight danced in Emily's eyes, reflecting the stars above. They shared stories of dreams deferred, battles fought, and their laughter mingled with the clink of wine glasses. I want a future where Lily grows up knowing love transcends all. Emily said, her voice a melody of hope. Daniel nodded, his hand finding hers. And I want a world where you shine unjudged. Their connection, a delicate thread woven into a steel cord, prepared them for the battles ahead. As they returned to New York, hand in hand, the city welcomed them with a winter's embrace. Its skyline, a promise of home. The pursuit had mended misunderstandings and unveiled a love profound enough to defy time and tide. Yet shadows loomed, Mark's lingering schemes, and Sophia's fragile psyche setting the stage for a reckoning that would test their unity. As New York's winter tightened its grip, blanketing the city in a crystalline frost that sparkled under the glow of streetlights, Emily Sanchez and Daniel Wright stood at the precipice of justice, their love, a beacon that illuminated the path through the shadows of betrayal. The Manhattan penthouse, once a battleground of doubts, now thrummed with a quiet strength, its walls echoing the harmony of a couple united against the ghosts of their past. With its relentless pulse, the city seemed to hold its breath, as if sensing the weight of the reckoning that awaited a pursuit of truth that would not only right old wrongs, but forge a future unmarred by deceit. In this crucible of resolution, their bond would be tempered, its brilliance, convincing the world of its enduring power. The quest for justice began with a meticulous unraveling of Mark Thompson's web of lies, each thread pulled with the precision of a maestro conducting a symphony. Daniel, leveraging his resources at Wright Corp., collaborated with a team of top-tier attorneys from a prestigious Manhattan law firm, their expertise a sword to cut through the fog of fraud. The evidence amassed through months of investigation painted a damning portrait. Mark's orchestration of the Queen's car crash that claimed Emily's parents, a calculated sabotage of brake lines masked as tragedy. The illicit kidney purchase, a violation of federal health regulations that hastened her father's death. And the embezzlement of the Sanchez family's modest real estate holdings funneled into offshore accounts. Each revelation was a wound reopened for Emily. Yet Daniel's steady presence, his hand a constant anchor, transformed her pain into purpose. In the hallowed halls of the New York County Courthouse, where marble columns stood like sentinels of justice, the legal battle unfolded with a drama that rivaled the city's grandest theaters. In a tailored suit that accentuated her regal bearing, Emily testified with a voice that resonated with quiet power, her ebony skin glowing under the courtroom's harsh lights. Mark took everything: my family, my trust, but he could not take my future. She declared, her words a clarion call that silenced the murmurs of the spectators. Seated behind her, Daniel watched with a pride that swelled like the Hudson's tides, his blue eyes reflecting unwavering support. Armed with financial records and forensic reports, the prosecution dismantled Mark's defenses, exposing his greed to the world. The courtroom drama reached its zenith when Emily confronted Mark directly, her gaze piercing through his feigned remorse. "You built your life on lies, but I'm reclaiming mine," she said, her voice a velvet blade that cut through his facade. The jury, moved by her strength and the weight of evidence, delivered a swift verdict: guilty on charges of fraud, manslaughter, and illegal organ trafficking. As Mark was led away in handcuffs, his empire of deceit crumbling like sandcastles against the tide, Emily felt a release, a lightness that bloomed like spring in her heart. Outside on the courthouse steps, Daniel pulled her close, his lips brushing her forehead. "You were magnificent," he whispered, his voice a caress that convinced her of her resilience. Yet justice extended beyond Mark's punishment. Sophia Reed, whose fractured psyche had cast shadows over their love, demanded a different resolution. Her disorder, rooted in a childhood marred by abuse in a Connecticut foster home, had twisted her affection for Daniel into obsession. Daniel, guided by compassion rather than vengeance, arranged for her treatment at a renowned psychiatric facility in upstate New York, where rolling hills offered solace to troubled souls. "She's not our enemy. She's a victim of her own pain," he explained to Emily, as they sat in a quiet cafe in Greenwich Village, the scent of espresso grounding their conversation. Emily nodded her empathy, a bridge across their differences. "Healing her heals us," she agreed, her hand finding his, their fingers intertwining like vines seeking sunlight. The resolution of Sophia's story unfolded with delicate care. Under the guidance of skilled therapists, her alternate personas born from trauma's cruel hand began to integrate her clarity, returning like dawn after a long night. A poignant visit to the facility, where snow-dusted pines framed the serene grounds, allowed Emily to see Sophia not as a rival, but as a woman seeking redemption. "I'm sorry for the pain I caused, Sophia," whispered, her eyes clear for the first time. Emily, her heart expansive with forgiveness, replied, "We all deserve a chance to heal." Daniel, witnessing this exchange, felt his love for Emily deepen. Her grace was a testament to a strength that transcended all obstacles. The public sphere, too, demanded reckoning. Olivia Hayes, whose venomous campaign had once threatened Emily's standing at Right Corp, faced her own consequences. Daniel, wielding his influence with surgical precision, ensured her actions were exposed in professional circles, her reputation tarnished by her malice. An industry gala in a glittering ballroom overlooking the Empire State Building became the stage for her downfall. When confronted by colleagues about her discriminatory tactics, Olivia's defenses crumbled, and her exit was a quiet capitulation to the weight of truth. Radiant in a gown that shimmered like midnight, Emily stood by Daniel's side, her presence a silent triumph over prejudice. In the aftermath, their love flourished in newfound freedom. Evenings in the penthouse became a sanctuary of shared dreams, where they danced to jazz under the glow of chandeliers, their movements a choreography of trust. "You've given me justice, but more. You've given me hope," Emily murmured one night, her head resting against Daniel's chest, the city's heartbeats syncing with their own. He kissed her deeply, his lips a vow against hers. "And you've given me a home, not just walls, but a life with you and Lily." Their intimacy, a delicate flame, now a roaring fire, convinced the stars above of their eternal bond. The resolution extended to their community. Emily, empowered, launched a diversity initiative at Right Corp, mentoring young women of color in corporate spaces, her voice a catalyst for change. Daniel supported her, funding scholarships for underrepresented students, and his empire is now a beacon of inclusion. As spring's first buds emerged, they stood together on their terrace, the city awakening below. "We've faced the past and won." Daniel set his arm around her. Emily smiled, her eyes alight with promise. "And now we build our future." Under the blooming sky, their kiss sealed a chapter of justice, paving the way for a family united in love's unyielding embrace. In the tender embrace of New York's early spring, where cherry blossoms unfurled like delicate promises against the urban tapestry of Manhattan, Emily Sanchez and Daniel Wright stood on the cusp of a profound reunion, not merely of hearts, but of souls bound by love and legacy. The city, awakening from winter's slumber, shimmered with a vibrant renewal that mirrored the blossoming within their lives. Their penthouse, perched high above Central Park, was no longer just a refuge, but a sanctuary, where laughter mingled with the scent of blooming jasmine, a testament to a family forged through trials and triumphs. As the skyline glowed under the first warm rays of April, the journey toward acceptance unfolded, weaving a narrative of unity that convinced even the most skeptical hearts of love's transformative power. The path to this reunion began with a pilgrimage to the Hamptons, where the ocean's rhythmic whispers and sprawling estates offered a canvas for reconciliation. Daniel's grandmother, Grace Wright, a formidable matriarch with silver hair and eyes that held the wisdom of decades, had long been a pillar of the Wright family's legacy. Her initial skepticism toward Emily, rooted in the ingrained biases of an older generation accustomed to homogeneity, cast a shadow over their bond. With her Connecticut upbringing and traditional values, Grace had once envisioned a different match for her grandson, one aligned with the elite circles she navigated. Yet the winds of change were stirring, and Emily's radiant spirit was about to illuminate even the most guarded corners of Grace's heart. The Hamptons estate, a sprawling mansion with ivy-clad walls and gardens bursting with early blooms, welcomed them with an air of timeless elegance. Emily, dressed in a flowing dress, accentuating her ebony grace, stepped into the grand foyer with Lily by her side, her daughter's curls bouncing excitedly. Daniel's presence, a blend of strength and vulnerability, guided them with a protective hand. "This is home in a way," he murmured to Emily, his blue eyes alight with hope. "And I want it to be yours too." Emily's heart fluttered, her fingers tightening around his, and the warmth of his touch was a silent vow that convinced her of his unwavering commitment. Grace's initial reception was reserved, her gaze appraising Emily, with a scrutiny born of years guarding the family name. She spoke plainly at a sunlit brunch on the terrace, where the scent of fresh croissants mingled with sea air. "Daniel's choices have always been bold, but it's unconventional." The words, though softened by politeness, carried the weight of unspoken prejudice, a reminder of the racial divides that lingered in even the most progressive corners of America. Emily met her gaze, her voice steady yet warm, like the tide caressing the shore. "I understand your concerns, Mrs. Wright, but love doesn't conform to convention. It builds bridges where walls once stood." Her eloquence and the quiet strength in her dark eyes planted a seed of curiosity in Grace's mind. The turning point came through Lily, whose innocent charm was a universal language. During a walk through the estate's gardens, where roses bloomed in defiance of lingering chill, Lily tugged at Grace's hand. "Grandma Grace, do you like stories? Mommy tells the best ones." Her enthusiasm and a striking resemblance to Daniel's childhood photos, her bright eyes, her infectious giggle, stirred something deep within Grace. "You're a little spark, aren't you?" she said, her voice softening, a smile breaking through her stern facade. That evening, as they gathered around a crackling fire, Lily nestled in Grace's lap, sharing tales of imaginary adventures. Emily watched, her heart swelling, as Grace's laughter mingled with her daughter's, a melody of acceptance that convinced her of a burgeoning bond. Daniel seized the moment to bridge the past and present. Over a dinner of roasted lamb and fine wine, he shared their story, not just of love, but of resilience. Emily has faced trials that would break most, yet she stands stronger for it. "She's not just my partner, my equal, my inspiration." His words, delivered with a passion that resonated like a symphony's crescendo, moved Grace to tears. She reached for Emily's hand, her grip firm, yet tender. "I was wrong to doubt you. Your heart, your spirit, it's what this family needs." Raw and heartfelt confession dissolved the last barriers, convincing Emily that she was not merely accepted, but cherished. The reunion deepened through shared rituals. Grace invited them to a family gathering at the estate, where cousins and distant relatives gathered under twinkling lanterns. Emily, initially apprehensive, found warmth in their curiosity, her Puerto Rican Black heritage, a point of fascination rather than division. Daniel's pride was palpable, his arm around her, a declaration of unity. "You've brought color to our world, literally and figuratively." he whispered, his lips brushing her ear, igniting a spark that danced like fireflies in the night. Lily, meanwhile, became the heart of the gathering, her laughter a bridge across generations, her presence convincing all of the family's new chapter. Back in New York, the acceptance radiated outward. Empowered by Grace's blessing, Emily spearheaded a community event at Right Corp, a multicultural festival in Harlem that celebrated diversity through music and art. Daniel, by her side, funded the initiative, and his empire is now a platform for inclusion. "You've changed me," he confessed one evening, as they danced under the stars at the festival, the rhythm of salsa echoing their shared heartbeat. Emily smiled, her eyes glistening. "And you've given me a family, yours and ours." Under the vibrant canopy of Harlem's night, their kiss was a seal of belonging, a promise that love could mend even the deepest divides. The happiness was not without its trials. Whispers of Mark's lingering influence surfaced, legal appeals filed from prison attempting to disrupt their peace. Daniel, ever vigilant, countered with swift action his attorneys, ensuring Mark's claims were dismissed. Grace, too, played her part, using her influence to silence gossip in elite circles. "You're a right now," she told Emily, her voice blending steel and warmth. The words, a mantle of acceptance, wrapped around Emily like a cherished heirloom, convincing her heart of its rightful place. As spring unfolded, their family blossomed. Picnics in Central Park, where Lily chased butterflies, and Grace shared stories of Daniel's youth, wove a tapestry of memories. Balancing her thriving career with these moments, Emily felt a happiness radiating like sunlight through stained glass. "We're home," she whispered to Daniel one evening, as they watched the city's lights from their terrace, Lily asleep in her arms. Daniel's arms encircled them both, his voice a vow against the night. Forever. Their love, a constellation of shared dreams, convinced the world that family was not defined by blood, but by the bonds forged in love's embrace. As New York's spring blossomed into a vibrant symphony of color and life, the city became a canvas for the culmination of Emily Sanchez and Daniel Wright's love. This story had weathered storms of prejudice, betrayal, and doubt to emerge radiant and resolute. The air was thick with the scent of blooming magnolias, their petals carpeting the paths of Central Park like a bridal veil, as if nature conspired to celebrate their union. The penthouse, now a haven of shared laughter and whispered promises, hummed with anticipation, its windows reflecting a skyline that seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of their future. This was the stage for their perfect ending, a wedding that would bind two souls and redefine love's power in the face of a world that often sought to divide. The journey to this moment had been a tapestry of trials, each thread woven with care and courage. Emily, her ebony skin glowing with an inner light that rivaled the city's neon, stood in the penthouse's dressing room, her reflection framed by a mirror that captured her transformation. The gown, a creation of ivory silk that flowed like a river, accentuated her curves and spoke of elegance that transcended convention. Lily, her daughter, twirled nearby in a flower girl dress, her curls adorned with tiny roses. "Mommy, you look like a queen," she exclaimed, her voice a melody that danced through the room. Emily smiled, her heart, a vessel overflowing with love, convinced that this day was not just a ceremony, but a celebration of their shared resilience. Daniel, in a tailored tuxedo that hugged his broad frame, prepared in a nearby suite, his blue eyes alight with a mixture of nerves and exhilaration. The weight of his love for Emily, a force that had reshaped his world, felt like a star burning in his chest. He glanced at a photograph on his desk, Emily and Lily laughing in Central Park, their joy a beacon that had guided him through darkness. "Today we become one." He murmured, his voice a vow that resonated with the city's pulse, convincing even the heavens of his devotion. Grace, his grandmother, joined him, her eyes softened by pride. You've chosen well, Daniel. She's your heart's truth. Her blessing, a final seal of family, fortified his resolve. The wedding was set in Central Park's conservatory garden, a hidden oasis where fountains sang and flowers bloomed defiantly. Under a canopy of white roses, guests gathered, colleagues from Right Corp, Emily's friends from Harlem, and Daniel's extended family, their diversity a testament to the bridges they had built. Chloe, radiant in a sapphire dress, winked at Emily. You've earned this happiness, she whispered, her words gently nudging toward joy. The ceremony began as a string quartet played a haunting rendition of At Last, the notes weaving through the air like threads of destiny. Emily walked down the aisle, her arm linked with Grace's, symbolizing the family's embrace. Daniel's breath caught his eyes, locked on her beauty, a vision transcending time. As she reached him, he took her hands, his touch a promise etched in eternity. The officiant, a friend from their NYU days, spoke of love's power to heal and unite, his words, a melody that convinced the crowd of its truth. Do you, Emily, take Daniel as your partner? Through all seasons I do, she replied, her voice clear and resonant, her eyes shining with tears of joy. Daniel's vow followed his voice, a deep timbre that carried across the garden. Emily, you are my home, my light. I vow to cherish you, stand by you, and build a future where our love defies all odds. Their kiss, sealed under a shower of petals, was a symphony of passion, convincing the world that love could conquer any divide. The reception, held in a grand pavilion overlooking the park, celebrated their multicultural love. Tables groaned under Puerto Rican delicacies and classic American fare, a fusion that mirrored their union. Lily led a dance with Daniel, her giggles echoing as he spun her under twinkling lights. Emily, watching, felt a profound happiness that seemed to rewrite her past. We're a family, she whispered to Daniel as they swayed to a slow jazz tune, the city's skyline a glittering backdrop. Forever, he replied, his lips brushing hers, a kiss that sealed their shared destiny. The future stretched before them like an open road. Emily's translation business, co-founded with Chloe, flourished, securing contracts with global NGOs, her voice amplifying marginalized stories. Daniel, inspired, launched a foundation to support interracial families, his wealth a tool for change. Their home became a haven for community, hosting gatherings, celebrating diversity, barbecues in Brooklyn, art nights in Harlem. Lily thrived, her confidence blooming in a school reformed by their advocacy, her dreams fueled by parents who showed her love's boundless reach. Yet the world's gaze lingered. Media scrutiny, ever present, framed their marriage as a bold statement. Headlines like "Billionaire's multicultural love" sparked debates. Emily faced them gracefully, and her speeches at diversity forums were a clarion call for unity. Love doesn't see color, it sees hearts. She declared, her words convincing skeptics of its truth. Daniel, by her side, countered criticism with action, his empire a platform for progress. Their unity, a beacon in the city's kaleidoscope, proved that love could reshape even the most rigid narratives. As summer approached, they planned a honeymoon to Puerto Rico to honor Emily's roots. I want Lily to know her heritage, she said, her eyes alight with dreams. Daniel nodded, his arm around her. And I want to build new memories with you, ours forever. Their laughter, mingling with the city's hum, was a symphony of hope, convincing the stars above of their eternal bond. In the quiet moments as they stood on their terrace, the city, a canvas of possibilities below Emily, reflected on their journey. We've rewritten our story, she murmured, her head resting against Daniel's chest. No, he corrected gently, his voice a whisper against the night. We've written a new one together. Under the moon's gentle glow, their kiss sealed a future where unyielding and radiant love would guide them through all seasons. If this story of love, resilience, and triumph touched your heart, please like, share, and comment below to share your feelings. Your support fuels our storytelling. Subscribe to our channel for more inspiring and uplifting tales. Let's spread the message of love that transcends all boundaries.